Absolutely amazing. From start to finish, Duke beats the North Carolina Tar Heels. So dominant. We got to talk about all of it.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. Thanks for joining us here today on Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. And on today's show, we're going to focus about this win that Duke had over the weekend against the North Carolina Tar Heels. 87-70 was the final score in the game. A wire-to-wire victory for Duke, led by their freshmen in Cooper Flagg and Knueppel. Our good buddy Jordan Mann of the Big J and Little J show at jman_ on YouTube is going to join us on the show today to break it all down. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Your support of our channel means so much to us, and excited to continue to see this channel grow as we get closer to the month of March and March Madness that is coming for this Duke squad. We welcome him in now. It's Jordan Mann here with us at J-Man's Takes on X. And boy, the takes were firing after Saturday night's win, not only from you, but from everybody, man. What a dominant display from Jon Scheyer and Duke basketball in college basketball's finest rivalry.
Oh, yeah, JJ, I don't even know where to begin. First off, I'm hoarse. If you can't tell already, I've lost my voice from last night at the bar. Just a great game from start to finish. Like, this Duke team has not had hot starts throughout the year, and I'm glad they saved their best start against UNC. So
yes,
we can get into that. But I was from the jump, Duke put their foot on UNC's throat and then set the tone the rest of the game.
There's a second half run that North Carolina went on that was 17-2. Duke went scoreless for a really long while, and they got back into the game a smidge. But again, the fact that Duke had this 22-point halftime lead, the largest lead of the game at any point, was 32 in this one. Like, we overcame a 17-2 North Carolina run, and if you were being honest with yourself, Duke was going to win the game. I'm the biggest of warriors, as I've often joked about on this program when it comes to loving Duke basketball, and oh my goodness, it's going to happen again. But in reality, when you were looking at the way the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes even, of this game being played out, there was no world in which North Carolina was going to win this basketball game. And again, Jordan, they went on a 17-2 run in the second half, and we still feel fine.
Yeah, look, if you ask a coach, the hardest thing to do, or one of the hardest things to do, is when you have a big lead, to keep your team in it. That is always the most challenging thing, because at the end of the day, kids will be kids, and you're going to scoreboard watch, and you're going to see you're up 30, and then you're going to try things you probably shouldn't. You're going to be a little bit lazier on defense because it's a blowout. And that's why Scheyer called a timeout during that little run that UNC had and tried to stop that momentum. UNC still went, I think, scored a couple more buckets after that. But it's really hard to get those guys continue to be engaged after being up 30. Duke gives up an 17-2 run and still win the game, 87-70. So
Yep.
Nobody's hurt, but obviously as fans, we'd love to see that be a 30-point nugget. But I'll take a win against UNC any day of the week.
Jon Scheyer's now 3-2 as the head coach for the Blue Devils over the Tar Heels. Duke is 11-0 in ACC play for the first time since the 2005-2006 season. UNC, by the way, also shot 65% from the floor in the second half. They won the rebounding battle and still lost by 17.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when people always say you can't lose the game like at the start of the game, well, you kind of can, because you get in that deficit early. You don't have a team that's like Duke, where Duke was down 15 early against NC State and came back and won that game. You just don't have those horses. So when you give up that big of a deficit that early in Cameron, it's GG's. I mean, Cooper Flagg, we'll get into him in a second, but he set the tone from the jump, and UNC just did not have anything for him.
Yeah, it was 2-0 Duke. They tied it up at 2. That was the only time in the actual game that it was tied. Duke gets a three-pointer right away to make it 5-2. It's a 7-6 lead that Duke has, and then they really blow it open, and they go on like a 16-0 run at one point to really grow that lead and never look back from there. And the pivotal moment early on in that game was Cooper Flagg knocking down a couple of shots from the outside, 3-pointers, that is. But more than that, he came up with some steals early on the defensive end of the floor and able to get Duke out in tempo and run.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg had 9 points, 4 assists, and 2 steals in the first 5 minutes of the game. And he either scored or assisted on Duke's first 18 points. So
seems pretty good.
That seems pretty efficient, JJ. It's not, again, this is what makes him so special, man, is he impacts play, he impacts winning. Like, take the 9 points out of the equation. He found Sion James on a slip screen for a dunk, and then he had 2 steals against Cadeau, who was very good at finding the open guy in the corner by doing a no-look skip pass. And he was picked off twice by Cooper Flagg early on in that game. And I think Cadeau had at least 5 turnovers, and all of them felt like in the first 5 minutes because Duke just had him out of sorts. And when you eliminate that type of guy who is not a shooter, so he can only impact his offense by making really good reads and good passes, and you disrupt that immediately, now UNC is searching for an identity, and they could not find that identity to counter Cooper Flagg's playmaking ability.
Unbelievable game for Duke. Unbelievable game for Cooper Flagg. Knueppel did his part as well, scoring over 20. Then you look at Sion James, what he was able to do for Duke, plus 26. He had the largest plus-minus of anybody out there on the floor for the Blue Devils. And equally as impressive, how about the game that Tyrese Proctor was able to put out there for Duke? He had the second highest plus-minus, plus 24 when Proctor was on the floor. He finishes with 17 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, and made all 5 free throws that he took with 3 assists and a couple of rebounds. Big-time performance from the backcourt of Proctor and James.
Yeah, Duke needed Proctor in this game. He's been struggling the last couple of games shooting the rock. I think he was 2 of 12 and 1 of 6 or something like that in the last couple of games. And Sion James a couple of games ago was off with Proctor against Wake Forest. So to have both those guys play to their capabilities like they've done throughout the year, that also, as good as Cooper Flagg was, when you have Tyrese Proctor and Sion James just being your backcourt and they're hitting the open threes on the skips that Cooper Flagg's throwing when it's a cross-court double team on him, like, who's going to beat this Duke team? Auburn didn't.
Yeah.
Like, Kentucky did because Duke couldn't hit open shots. When Duke hits open shots because Cooper Flagg has all the attention on him, who's going to beat this team? This team is deadly. And then you said Knueppel. Knueppel had an outstanding game. And then I want to talk about Malik Brown, but I'll let you get me into that because that's my guy, and I was happy to see him. But just the guard play was phenomenal for Duke against a team that was so small that they should have been better with their guard play.
Yeah, I'm fired up to talk Malik Brown and more on Knueppel. We're going to take a look at the box score here in just a moment. We got to talk a little bit more about UNC and how they found themselves in such a drought. Anytime we get ready for these big-type games, it's marketed when you want to break down the stars. A star watch for both of these teams. You've got Cooper Flagg on the Duke side of things. And then North Carolina's got an All-American themselves in R.J. Davis. He finishes the day with the worst plus-minus of anybody out there. Sion James was plus 26. R.J. Davis was minus 26. How did that happen?
Because he was barbecue chicken on defense. You saw anytime he was on Duke, it was straight to the rim. And Knueppel took him to the rim. I even tweeted he should have done the too small. He's not. Knueppel's classy, but in the rivalry as a fan, especially because UNC did that to Duke last year in Cameron. It felt like Cormac Ryan was doing this, Baycott was doing that, Harrison Ingram was doing it. So it would have been nice to give UNC their own medicine, especially R.J. Davis, who was on that team last year, was getting cooked by not only Duke, but by a couple white boys, JJ. Knueppel going to the rim. He had like 8 straight against him. It was just phenomenal. And obviously Tyrese Proctor and Sion James had a phenomenal game as well. Yeah,
everybody did their thing. Wire-to-wire victory for Duke. Massive win in the rivalry. Gosh, go to hell, Carolina. It feels so good when Duke comes out on top in these basketball games. Let's look at the box score and a little bit of other things after we take our first break here on today's show. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown score, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Again, by betting just $5, if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Bet with FanDuel, the official partner of Super Bowl 59 and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, here we go. We're moving forward on the show. J-Man's here with us today. Special thanks once again to our friends over at FanDuel, as we said there. We're going to be talking a lot about them throughout the course of the week. Duke and Auburn right now are the greatest odds to win the national championship, according to our friends over at FanDuel. Duke's favored in the rest of their games that'll play out this season, but it is Super Bowl week. And J-Man, I'm asking you first. People are going to want to talk about the Super Bowl all week long and this sort of thing. Real quickly, how do you see this one playing out, man?
I hope both teams loses. That's what I want. I don't want the Chiefs to win. I don't want the Eagles to win. It result in a tie, because I was going for the Commanders as a dark horse. The Bills, it was their time. They got screwed up by those Swifties and the referees. And so I want to protest the Super Bowl, JJ. That's how I want it to be. I want it to be the worst Super Bowl of all time, 2-0.
Yeah, give us your FanDuel first touchdown score this week, man.
FanDuel first touchdown score, I got to go Travis Kelce. I think it's going to be his last. I think he's going to propose to Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl when they win, and so he's going to have the first touchdown of the game, and it's going to be all this historic Disney movie type of filming.
Hard to argue with that one there. Yeah, I think Kelsey's a popular pick. I think he could end up in the end zone for sure. All right, Super Bowl 59. Go see all the great odds over at FanDuel. We got to talk more about Duke. What a win it was for the Blue Devils over UNC. They win it 87-70, 45 first half points for Duke. And just unbelievable right out of the gates, setting the tone the way in which they did. My mistakes, 47 first half points for the Blue Devils. And J-Man, again, right out of the gates, Cooper Flagg and Knueppel, the two freshmen for Duke, really set the tone.
Yeah, look, they really set the tone. And then UNC, who I want to talk about too, is Drake Powell. There was no reason why he came off the bench for them. He should have been starting the whole game. And clearly when they made that run, Drake Powell was the key factor in that run late in the game, but it was too late. And so if I had to guess, JJ, Drake Powell will be starting the second matchup they have in the Dean Dome, because there's no way he should have came off the bench. He played probably the best game. I'm trying to find. There he is. Yeah, he had 12 points on 5 of 8 in 22 minutes. And he was fine, and he held his own defensively for UNC. But the damage was done in the first half, 47-25. I would not like to see UNC score 45 points in the second half again. That was not great. But, again, Duke has such a big lead that they took the foot off the gas, and hopefully that stops happening, because it seems like that is a constant thing now with Duke, with the Notre Dame finish, this finish, and, a couple others.
Yeah, no, when you look at what Duke was able to do shooting the basketball, I thought that really set the tone for the game. Duke goes 10 of 20, 50% from three-point range on this one, and 53% from the floor, 28 of 53. Duke shared the basketball really well, 20 assists on 28 made buckets. That's something we're always talking about when Duke does a good job of sharing the rock. Cooper Flagg, of course, led the way with 7 assists. Knueppel had 5 of them as well, but setting up easy baskets for teammates.
Yeah, when Duke has more assists than turnovers and double the assist to turnovers, they're going to win that game. They're going to win that game by a lot. And that was the key, right? 20 assists to 8 total turnovers by the team. I mean, when the offense is clicking like that, you score 87 points. And again, Duke let their foot off the gas late. Like, it was stall ball for about a 4-minute segment on the 18-2 run. Duke could have put up 100. And they still put up 87, shot 50% from 3 and 53 from the field, and also 21-25 from the line. Like, knocked down the free throws as well. But when this team is facilitating, sharing the rock, and hitting open jumpers on skip passes, my God, be with the opposing team.
No kidding. This Duke team's been fun to watch all season, and this Duke team welcomed back Malik Brown to the floor. On Friday, when Kevin Conley and I were recording the show, that was our kind of live reaction to Duke basketball, tweeting out some photos from the Friday prep, and you saw Malik Brown out there on the floor, clearly kind of participating in some contact stuff. Felt good about the chances that he would play. We wake up on College game day. It's immediately confirmed that Malik Brown would be available for this Duke squad. And then we see him instantly, as soon as he got into the game, man, Jordan, his hands, they're still magnets, even missing 4 in a row. Unbelievable effort from Malik.
Yeah, I was impressed with Malik because when they said he was active and he could play, I was not expecting him to go out there and play his normal game. I was expecting, 5 to 7 minutes in this game. And he played 16 minutes in his first possession on defense, gets a steal. I mean, it's the most Malik Brown thing ever. Swiper keeps swiping as he just continues to be a menace on the perimeter against a big or a guard. And he really helped set Maliq did a really good job defensively in this game too. I want to give Maliq his flowers, but you could feel the defensive personality again with this Duke team, with Malik Brown coming off the bench and immediately getting a steal. I just felt like Duke was so locked in defensively from that standpoint on.
This game had everything. It was so much fun to watch Duke play the way they did and to see Malik Brown out there on the floor competing the way he did. Common Maliq made an impact defensively, offensively for Duke. He didn't get sick during the game. That's always a win for these teams, especially early on. As soon as the game gets going, we hear them announce that Cooper Flagg had been a little sick throughout the course of the week. It's like, oh boy, what are we in for? And immediately, to your point, within the first 5 minutes, I was like, no, everybody's good. We're ready to play. Cooper's good to go. And don't worry about that sick stuff. Duke was fine.
Yeah, he was sick and had 21, 8, 7 in 38 minutes. The dude, I mean, it's got to be steroids or something at this point. He is Superman. But no, he's fantastic. And to show how his mental fortitude, his mental toughness to play when he's sick, under the weather is always not fun. But when you get in that momentum of a game and you get the adrenaline pumping, just don't call any timeouts. Let me be out there, be active, because once I sit down, then I feel the symptoms all over again. And so Shire's like, okay, well, you're going to play 38 out of 40 minutes and you're going to feel every piece of this rivalry. And he stepped up he's just stepped up and played a Cooper Flagg game, because that was the question, right? Like, it was an easy answer to the question, but can Cooper Flagg play a Cooper Flagg game in this Duke UNC rivalry that is so historic? And the answer is yes, he'll do it on the first 18 points of the game.
Yeah, he'll be ready to go immediately, right out of the gates. Love to see that for sure. All right, we'll take one more timeout here on the program. And then when we come back, let's keep talking about some of the top moments from all the action on Saturday and get you set for Duke's next game on the road at Syracuse. This is Locked On Blue Devils. Thank you so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and first watch each and every day. Really do appreciate all the support. If you'd go ahead and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. Again, also available wherever it is that you get your podcasts. For your second listen today, make sure that you check out the Locked On ACC podcast. Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs keep it real and bring you the truth about where your favorite ACC team stands within the conference. They were talking about it a little bit on Saturday during halftime of the Duke and UNC game, but major ESPN network deals agreed to with the ACC conference. We're wondering, could this finally be the end of the drama that Clemson and Florida State find themselves in with the league? You'll hear all those conversations and more over on Locked On ACC. Find Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. Jay Mann's back here with us today on the show. We're talking about this big win for Duke over UNC. A day full of excitement. Cameron was rocking at an all-time high, and it started in the morning with College game day. A student hits a half-court shot for $19,000. That should have just set the tone. It did set the tone for us, Jay Mann.
It did. I even tweeted, good karma. Like, when you see a kid in College game day either make a field goal or make a half-court shot, you're like, well, the home team's going to win this game. And that knuckleball went right in. It was a little Tim Wakefield when it left his hands, but it knuckled in. Nothing but net on a knuckler. That was nuts.
Yeah, a make's a make.
Yeah, that's worth way more than $19,000, because that is Duke Perfect can't do that, but it was fantastic way to start the game or start the day. And so when College Game Day is in Durham, it always means more. And then ESPN's broadcast was fantastic. I wish they'd do it every college basketball game where they show both teams' introductions.
Right.
It really gets you in the elements, in the environment of how big of a game it is, whether it's Duke Carolina or if it's Duke Clemson on a random Wednesday night.
It sets it up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really fun to watch it play out that way. All right, give me one. Give me a top moment, a favorite moment from the game itself.
Oh, top. Golly.
Anything here.
Well, I'm going to go Malik Brown's first steal, like his first possession back on defense, to see if he was really back to his full strength. And immediately he gets that first steal and sets the tone defensively for Duke.
I loved first play up the game, getting Sion James to kind of slip back door. You mentioned it earlier, but Cooper seeing him right away to finish with a dunk. I've been charting every 10 games or so kind of where this Duke team is at dunking the basketball specifically. They're really well so far. They're going to surpass last season's numbers easily. And Sion James already into double digits in terms of how many times he's been living above the rim. And I loved in his debut there in Carolina, nothing like an easy two-handed dunk to get you set up early.
Dude, Sion James is a professional slip screener in this offense. I mean, my God, he sets a flare screen for Knueppel and he slips it immediately and he just gets to the rim and punches it. So whoever's standing underneath the rim, I advise you to move out of the way because their freight train's coming. And that's a part of the offense that doesn't get talked about enough is the guard's ability to slip these screens to where they can finish around the rim or collapse the defense, kick out, and then Duke hits a three. Like that's why they score 80+ points almost every game.
Unbelievable stuff there from Sion. Here's another moment for you. I loved it. It didn't go the way that we necessarily wanted it to. It's not going to live on in the highlights in years to come because he missed. And quite honestly, it didn't go so well. But Con attacking the rim and trying to put Carolina on a poster, I don't want us to forget about that. That was awesome, Jay, because like you don't expect him to do. I expect getting into the lane. He's got such a soft touch, man. So damn good there in the lane. But Con said, never mind, I'm going straight up.
Yeah, I loved it when he tried it at Wake Forest. It didn't work out. I loved it then, and I loved it against UNC. Keep testing the bigs. You're going to catch one sleeping because like, oh, here comes Knueppel at the rim. Here comes a layup, and then you're going to flush it on him. So keep trying it because I like the aggressiveness. And when we were doing the box scores just earlier, one of my favorite stats of the game is Mason Gillis had 4 fouls in 7 minutes. I had no idea that he had 4 fouls in 7 minutes. I have to go back and watch the tape because that is outstanding.
And we were fine. We were still fine. Gillis has been playing really well as of late. And, Duke's still in a good spot.
He's been fantastic. He
just couldn't run away from the whistle on Saturday. You're right, though. Yeah.
Like there's Mason Gillis. Let's just call a hand check because 4 fouls in 7 minutes. That's insane officiating work.
Last thing today I want to point out here. How about our guy, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, the GOAT, heading for the exits early, man. He knows the game's ready to roll, and I got to beat traffic, whatever Coach K is doing in his world. And I love Jay Billis on the commentary pointing out that, he's been here 42 years. He stayed till the final horn every single time. So we'll let this one slide for the GOAT heading out a little early.
Yeah, it was nice to see Coach K there. Has Roy quit on the UNC Tar Heels? That needs to be the column now. It's like I don't see him in the UNC games anymore. I'll see him at Cincinnati. Has he quit the Tar Heels? Is he just waiting for the next head coach? Because was he in
Coach
camera?
K would never. Yeah.
We always see little old Roy behind the bench at every UNC game, but you know what? They're struggling. Where's Roy? He's coming back to coach. That's what's happening.
All right, let's wrap up today's show talking a little bit about Wednesday. It's Duke on the road at Syracuse. Really excited that Maliq Brown's back for this one. That's something a lot of people are talking about. The transfer from Syracuse, who was an all-ACC defensive player last season for the Orange, gets to go back and kind of play against his old team.
Yeah, I kind of hope Shire starts him. Like, keep the same minutes. Yeah. But maybe give him the start to where he gets some crowd reaction, give him his moment, and then you can sub Malawach in at the 18-minute mark. I don't care. And then you can do the minutes that way. But I hope it's a great homecoming for Maliq Brown for a personal standpoint, for his family, because that's where he started. A lot of great memories, I'm sure, at Syracuse. So I'm also, most importantly, I'm happy that he's back healthy to play in this game because that had to be the time frame for him personally. It was like, if I miss Duke UNC, it's fine, but I need to be back for Syracuse. So I'm glad that he's going to be suited up for that game personally, and I hope he has a great game.
I think he will. I'm excited to see how he plays in his return against the Orange. Syracuse had lost 3 consecutive ACC games. They are 10-12 overall on the year, but they did pick up a win over the weekend over Cal. So they've snapped their losing streak, but again, a sub-500 basketball team. J.J. Starling, Duke fans will know, one, because he was recruited so heavily by the Blue Devils, left Notre Dame, now plays at Syracuse. And then I want to see the opportunity to watch Eddie Lampkin Jr., who's a lot of people's one of their favorite players in college basketball, 6'11", 265 pounds. He does a lot for the Syracuse team. And talk about a big body, man. 6'11", 265 coming to Duke's front court.
Yeah, big jelly over there. That is a big old boy. But
yeah.
he was – I've said it on the Big J, Little J show that, like, if Malik Brown wasn't coming back, so say for a while for the knee injury, this is a game that I was worried about because of Eddie Lampkin, because he was a beast at TCU. He was a beast at Colorado in March for both teams. And then 3 games ago, he had 23 rebounds. So, like, the dude is a monster. He takes plays off. He's one of those talented guys that the motor is a question. But when he's locked in, spoiler alert, he's going to be locked in when Duke comes to town. So expect him to be on his A game. But that's a matchup that I'm a little bit worried about for Duke. But he's also a type of guy, if you punch Syracuse in the mouth early like they did against UNC, I expect them to roll over. So you got to come out early and throw out some heavy haymakers.
For Duke fans, how does he compare to DJ Burns, would you say?
Kind of similar. He just is – DJ is more polished with his touch. Eddie Lampkin is just a freight train. Like, he's like tractor trailer. Just like you post up, and then one-on-one with any post player is going to have his way, and he has good feet. But when the double comes, he's a little chaotic, but he's just he finds rebounds anywhere.
Got to block him out.
Got to block him out. It's going to take 5 guys to crash the boards for sure.
Going to be fun. We're going to be watching it Wednesday night. It's on the road. Duke plays 2 games on the road this week, at Syracuse on Wednesday and then at Clemson on Saturday before coming back home. Jordan, so great to see you as always. You've got plenty of great content over at your channel right now. The Big J and Little J show has been on fire as of late. How can people best support you, man?
Yeah, Big J, Little J show, Apple and Spotify, and then my personal YouTube channel, JMan_. We're over 800 subscribers, inching closer to 1,000. More Duke content will be on the way. Duke UNC film breakdown, more Duke content, and then be on the lookout for conference tournament stuff, and then March Madness. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff on the YouTube channel, so I want you guys to go like and subscribe. And JJ, I always appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow him on X at JMan's Takes, because we're starting the movement. We need Cooper Flagg to end up in Buzz City, man.
Yes,
that's our top mission. We need it.
Listen, after the trade last night of Luka Doncic to the Lakers, anything is possible. So Cooper Flagg to the Hornets starts right now.
Yeah, we need that. Jordan, good to see you, pal. Talk to you soon.
See you, buddy.
All right, that's J-Man joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, one of the absolute best. Please go support him and everything that he does. He's meant so much to me personally and to the Locked On Blue Devils world as well. We see all the comments with folks being so excited to have him on the show each and every week. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.